I hear this all the time. I ask people, how was the show? And people go, oh, it was an off night. There shouldn't be such a thing as an off night for an actor. Same as when you hear people going on a shoot. How was the shoot? Oh, it was an off time. I couldn't get my shit together. I couldn't focus. There's no reason for you to have an off night. We do everything we can to limit that. I want you to understand this. If you were a spy or a double agent and there was a war on and you were in character, you get it right. There's no room for off nights then because your life depends on it. So one of the things you're doing wrong as an actor is you're not making the things that you should be believing in, you're not making them real. Sanford Meisner said once, acting is responding to imaginary stimulus. Now, a lot of times today, for instance, if there was a castle in the background and I was meant to believe that I'm in a castle, it's not enough to just feed off the visual behind me. I would have to take in the mildew, the moisture, the smell, the feel of it, because it's all about believing. It's all about making this believe. So when you don't create enough of that world, your body falls into what the real world is. Right now here, there's a camera, there's a couple of lights, there's my yard, there's my daughter's room in here. So these things take over my believability. And most of you don't create this imaginary world. You don't create the circumstances to convince your body that this is real. And the more you create this imaginary world or the circumstances of that world, the less likely your mind is to fall out of it. If I only create this, which is what most actors do, they only create what's between them and the camera or between them and the stage. When I look over here, when I look over here, when I look over here, I haven't created it. So my believability goes out the window. You need to create the whole space. So when you look over here or over here, I see my window. I look outside of the character's window. I don't see a grip standing there or a cameraman standing there. I see a window. That takes time to create. And most of you don't even create the circumstances of the script, meaning you put most of your focus on the lines and how they come out. So if that goes down the window, if you lose your line, people go, oh, I forgot my line, I don't know what to do. Well, what would the character be doing? See, like we as characters, we don't know the lines as a character, meaning the character will keep doing whatever they're meant to do. They just came home from work. So when you lose your line, you don't go, I don't know what I'm doing here. You haven't created the circumstances. Now, here's the other thing I want you to understand. Certain circumstances are physical, as I've shared with you many times in the past. This is my daughter's room. When I look at the window, I look at my yard, I remember her. It feeds me. But this is real. The actual window is right there. This is actually her room. I don't have to bring sand to the beach. If I was filming in here, it's already here. If I'm on a set now, I have to physically touch the imaginary window, or if there is a window there, then I can touch that window. People call it substitution. You can call it whatever you like. I can touch the window on the set and create the memories of my daughter's window, the things that are familiar. If you are playing my brother, I don't even have a brother, but I have a sister, or I've got a lot of very close friends that I regard as brothers, I would touch you, look at you, take you in, and find things that are similar to my brother. I would hold my hand, your hand, take you in. If you're playing a young girl and you're playing my daughter, I would take in the similarities of you as my daughter, and I would dismiss everything that doesn't feed me. When you start to dismiss or diminish those things that don't feed you, like the camera, like the cameraman, like the grip, I don't pay attention to them. I don't feed them. Don't fight them either. If you fight them, you won't win. Don't go, there's a person there. Yeah, there will always be a person there. Focus on the things that feed you, which is 20%, 30% of the stuff that feeds you, that's it. Ignore everything else. But now you understand the more things that I create around me that feed my character and the circumstances, the less likely I am to take in the other things that don't feed me. That's why it's important not just to create this, but to create this. Sometimes it's enough to just do a basic thing. So when I turn here, I see a closet. When I turn here, I see the wall. When I turn there, I see the door. When I turn here. So when I look here, it's not like I've got nothing to focus on. There. That takes me in. Now, when we create things that trigger, for lack of a better word, emotional connections and stuff, what happens is most times you create it. Let's assume this is 0 to 10. 10 being the real thing. That's the real thing. It will never be the real thing. I want you to understand this. We're not bananas. We're tricking the body or seducing the body. That's a better word. We're seducing the body into believing that these circumstances are real. So it will never be 10. It will be a 9.9, 9.8, 9.7, 9.3, somewhere there if you're really good. What happens now when I do a take or a performance? And let's assume tonight the planets align, or I've done my work, which is more likely the reality. And today it's a 9 out of 10. I actually believe it that much. Next take or next performance, you do all this stuff, and for whatever reason, because there's so many variables, your life changes, circumstances changing, someone turned up on the set that pisses you off or whatever. Now I do the whole thing. It's only a 3. Now this is where most actors go wrong. Their brain tells them, well, it's not as strong as it was yesterday. So they start to shit on it. They completely annihilate that 3. Because you don't believe in it. Now you're focused on why the 3 today, or the 3 of this take, and you're comparing it to yesterday's take. We don't do that in life. We don't go argue with our spouse and go, today's argument wasn't as strong as yesterday. No, today's a 3. A 3 matters, because the way you're going to get to a 4, 5, 6, 7 is by believing in that 3. And if that's all I have today, that's all I have, that 3. But if I focus on that 3, by 3 I mean the level of intensity, then I don't shut it down. And sometimes a 3 is enough. If that's all that's created now, don't shit on it. Don't force it to become 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Trust that right now, these circumstances, this person, the way they said the line, feeds me at 3, but 3 is enough. If I start to dismiss it and not believe in it and compare it to what happened yesterday, it becomes a 0. And then you go, well, it's not working. I had an off day. No. A grain of coffee is good as a mountain of coffee. A 3 is good as an 8 or a 9. Your job is to believe it and to keep putting fuel in the fire. Keep feeding it with other things so you're not just dependent on this. And trusting that that 3 out of 10 is as valuable as an 8 out of 10 takes the rest of your life. And this is why I tell people doing exercises in an acting class is extremely valuable, because most of you, easily 80% of you, that I haven't even met, but I work with actors all my life and I hear their issues. You do it like it's an acting exercise. So I'm in class now, I'm meant to create something, and people go, oh, it's just Thursday night. It's just an acting exercise at the lab. Doesn't matter if I fuck it up or not. But tomorrow I'll be brilliant. Or when Steven Spielberg calls me, I'll be amazing. And I'm like, no, if you can't create it here, if you can't make believe in the safety of a class, you will not be able to do it in the real world. That's why every time you do it, you must believe. Every time, and by the way, Frank Sinatra said that once. He said, every time I sing, I believe. True statement. Every time you create something, whatever it is, as stupid as it sounds to you, it's a zombie, your job is to believe and to only focus on the things that feed you, not the things that don't. Because you will get distracted, especially on a film set. People will come through with lights. People will move around. People say, stop, let's do this. The moment you stop and get social with everyone, you just killed it. Stay in that zone. While they change the camera, you keep touching things that feed you. I'm still in the daughter's room. I'm still here. Because then I don't kill it. I don't land. I tell people, imagine landing. You fly, you land. You fly, you land. You'll never get up here. Our job is to hover, hover, hover. And then they're about to do a take. Then you take it further. Then you take it up there. Learn to trust that the little realities you've created are enough to get you further. Don't shit on them. Don't dismiss them. Don't bring in the things that you don't believe, because that's our job. We're fighting uphill. There's more distractions than there is realities or imagined realities. So you've got to learn to hone in on those, learn to feed them, learn to sustain them, and learn to trust them. Otherwise, everything will come in, you're going to have a bad day, and too many bad days is your career, and you can't afford that. Take care. Thank you for subscribing. Talk again soon.